right, let's call it to order, please. Let's call roll.
Evans? Here. Kasserag?
Here.
Mead?
Here.
Rittenhouse?
Here.
Slivka?
Here.
Stocking?
Here.
Here with quorum.
Thank you. Next item is the approval of the agenda for this evening.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then we have approval of the minutes of the February 13th, 2020 meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this evening we have one public hearing on our docket. It's the Kramer Bussey zoning amendment request to change the zoning of approximately 30 acres upon annexation from F and F2 farming districts, unincorporated Kane County, to I-1 light industrial district. The location is east of Old Kirk Road and immediately south of the Union Pacific Railroad West Line, commonly known as 00N849 and 00N859 Old Kirk Road. The applicant is Kramer and Sons LLC, Margaret K. Bussey. Are there people here to speak on this item this evening? Just one? Okay, if you will please rise, I'll swear you in, and as well as Paul. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. Please be seated. Paul, you want to read the record?
All right. Contents of our zoning file is an application and petition for annexation agreement prepared by Margaret K. Bussey and Thomas Wake for Kramer and Sons LLC dated November 30th, 2019. Plat of annexation prepared by Space Co. dated November 14th, 2017. Staff report from the Community Development Department to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which summarizes the request and provides staff's analysis dated February 27th, 2020. A certificate of publication from the Daily Herald for the legal notice that was published on February 11, 2020 for tonight's public hearing, and a copy of the notification letter mailed to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject property for tonight's public hearing. By way of introduction tonight, I was going to go a little bit through the report as the city had approached the petitioner on this and as it furthers our long-range goals and strategic plan. So I wanted to kind of go through this. The subject property is located east of Old Kirk Road and south of the tracks. It's about a 30-acre parcel. It's zoned F and F2, which are farming districts in Kane County. The site has, it's basically been used as a farm since the land was first settled. The proposed annexation is voluntary and was initiated by the City of Geneva to further its long-range plans and strategic goal objectives. They're requesting I-1, which is a light industrial zoning, and they're also with the idea of their existing uses would be deemed legal non-conforming. The proposed annexation is consistent with the 2003 comprehensive plan, the southeast sub-area plan, which was adopted in 2012, and our 2025 strategic plan. The petitioner's annexation agreement requests a waiver of annexation and zoning fees, the ability to maintain the existing rural zoning uses, and the ability to connect to the city's utilities without tap-on fees once those utilities are available. The petitioner has also requested some tax abatements, I think for a period of 5 years, and the ability to connect to Couts Road Extension once it's available. The benefits to the city include acquiring 30 acres of future industrial land, improved contiguity for future annexations, and gaining the needed public utility easement, which will help with the future industrial development. As far as the standards, I wanted to touch on those for the map amendment. Subject property is surrounded to the south, east, and west by farmland, woods, and single-family home. The area is generally described as rural fringe area, where farms and single-family homes are on the fringe of an incorporated city. This area has always been used for farming, and it consists of some single-family residents. The subject property has single-family residents, some accessory buildings, a couple of apartments, and some offices, and a couple of offices. The proposed light industrial use would be compatible with the adjacent farmland and the expected future use of the general area. The zoning classification is the surrounding uses in the west, south, and east are all farming, with one property zoned E3 residential. The existing zoning reflects the existing uses of farming and as single-family. And the subject property is zoned, again, F for farming and F2 is agricultural special use. And the special use was for a landscaping and nursery business in 1988. And then in 1999, they got another amendment to that to allow a caretaker's residence on the property. In general, the industrial district zoning classification would be compatible with the future zoning classification and the expected redevelopment of this property. The suitability of the property is, as the city continues to build out, these unincorporated properties on the fringe become more attractive to redevelopment. And the city's adopted plan, the Southeast Master Plan, what we call the Southeast Sub-Area Plan in 2012, designated farmland along the DuPage County line for future industrial uses. The industrial designation in the comp plan is intended for permitted uses in the I-1 industrial district. The proposed I-1 light industrial zoning for the subject is generally more intensive and requires more infrastructure and public utilities than the county can usually provide. That's why it necessitates annexation and rezoning to the I-1 district, which is more suitable than the farming F2. And finally, the comprehensive plan for the city of Geneva, the subject property is designated in the city's sub-area plan for industrial uses. The southeast sub-area plan adopted in 2012 with the expectation of creating new industrial opportunities on the vacant farmland along DuPage County line. With this, the proposed L1 light industrial district zoning for the subject property is consistent with the property's industrial designation, and city finds that to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. And staff would recommend then approval of the zoning map amendment from F1 and F2 to the I-1 district following annexation. Tonight, Margaret Bussey is here to answer any questions. She is one of the petitioners in this, and if you just want to step forward and introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Mag Bussey. We've been working on this for a couple years and gone.
Could you give us your legal address?
Oh, I'm sorry. My legal address is 0N859 Old Kirk Road. And we've been working on this for a couple years with the benefit to the city being very much there. The benefit to potentially me is having the ability to have options when I cared to sell the property. The reason the annexation is beneficial, we get the TIF district, we have the ability to hook up to utilities if we need to. We don't have to do anything if we don't need to either. So it's kind of a win-win from my standpoint, but it's also a win-win from the city standpoint because the property east of me is slowly being developed. West Chicago has developed it, or the parcels in West Chicago are developing much faster than the parcels that will be in the Geneva side. It just provides me an opportunity to have options when I choose to sell the property. So that's where I'm coming from. Any questions?
Any questions at all? Is there still a landscape business on there?
No, the landscape business was run by my husband. He passed away about 10 years ago. So we currently I have a very synergistic agreement with some guys who park their equipment on the property, and they help me take care of it because, as you can imagine, it gets a little excessive. That works out to all of our benefits. They have a decent place to park, and I have decent people to help me out with the property.
Any other questions? Yeah.
It's not really so much for the petitioner, but who are we annexing it from? I guess I'm just not familiar with the whole annexation process.
We're
so-
Geneva Township.
Yeah, so,
Property is either incorporated into a city or it's unincorporated, and unincorporated is usually a part of a county. So it's unincorporated whatever county you're in.
But we were also Geneva Township. On our taxes, we're Geneva Township.
Okay.
Which is a subdivision of
Kane County.
Yeah, so their current zoning is county zoning.
Okay. So it's unincorporated Kane County? Is that right?
Correct.
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 Okay.
And so is Mill Creek is also unincorporated in Kane County because it's not a part
Wondering
of
about
any
that.
city.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You're-
My other question was just going to be about developing the property with the water mains and things like that. Are there any easements or anything that we're requesting as part of this?
Are there any,
Easements?
the city in the annexation agreement has a number of easements. but,
Okay.
They're mainly to allow this property, to be able to go through this property with utility easements to help with the areas, as Ms. Bussey pointed out, to the east and south of the more likely to be industrial development there sooner.
Yes, John.
Question for Paul. So tonight, we're considering the change in zoning. The annexation or the reference annexation agreement, has that already been approved at the city level, or how does that get processed within the city?
It's going to be simultaneous or coterminous with this. The annexation agreement is actually run by the city council. And so what we're looking at is the map amendment that will then saddle with the annexation. If approved at the city council, then they also ask for a change in zoning, and that's what needs the blessing, or review of the Planning and Zoning Commission. But the purview of the annexation agreement is city council.
I wasn't sure if the annexation, the topic of annexation would come to our body or not. It sounds like it goes right to city council.
Yes,
Yeah,
the agreement.
they adopt it. And then the zoning would go over the meets and bounds description that's on here. So that's what the zoning would be on that.
Sure.
Alignment. Yes, ma'am.
And then the property to the east that could be reached with easements across this property would have to be annexed
Correct.
also.
That has to come into, along with eventually zoning of that property too.
Right.
The way most annexations occur is when it is annexed to the city, it automatically becomes the most least dense one, which is usually rural residential, and then it gets rezoned to something like this I-1.
The only other question I had are the exemption locations on here. That would be maintained, that would be still in the county and maintain county zoning? So these exemption parcels, there's two of them. One in
Yes.
on the western boundary and one sort of in the middle.
It goes around those, I believe, doesn't it?
Well, I'm just looking at this, the
Yeah,
plat of
yeah.
annexation, and there's two exemption locations, but that would still be in the county and maintain
Yes.
county zoning?
Exception, not exemption.
Any other questions?
Is there a downside to this?
No, I mean,
And
unless,
And obviously the city's
yeah, no,
for
the
it,
city.
and I am too. I
the
just
city
was
approached
wondering
them,
if
and,
there's,
obviously, I agree with Ms. Bussey that the city views this very much as a win-win situation.
okay.
Any other questions?
One person joined after.
I'm going to turn it over. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in the public wishing to speak on this matter? Any questions at all? Okay,
Close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second?
moved and seconded. Celeste?
Evans?
Aye.
Kasserag?
Aye.
Mead?
Aye.
Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Slivka?
Aye.
Stacking?
Aye.
That passes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for approval of a zoning map amendment from F to F2 farming districts, unincorporated Kane County, to I-1 light industrial district upon annexation for property located east of Kirk Road and immediately south of the Union Pacific West Line, commonly known as 00N849 and 00N859 Old Kirk Road, subject to the findings of fact contained in the staff report.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Yeah, take Brad.
Okay. Evans?
Aye.
Kasserag?
Aye.
Mead?
Aye.
Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Slivka?
Aye.
Stacking?
Aye.
That passes.
All right.
All right.
So Paul, let's go to council.
March 16th, it'll be before city council.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I can tell you a little bit about what's coming up next. We don't have a public hearing. We're expecting it's going to be a concept, actually, we just got it in today, a concept plan review for Lewis Road, which is 45 rental affordable units. So I think they want to come before us and hear the thoughts of the plan commission and things like that. Staff has kind of worked with them. I think there's very few variations or things that they'll be requesting. And they're experienced in developing this. This is not their first project by a long shot, so.
Is it the woman that was here the night we talked about the incentives? Is that the same, is she by chance the developer?
No, I don't think so. Was that with the meeting that we had, the training one?
No,
No.
but they have the affordable housing.
Oh, she may have been. Yes, I wasn't at that one.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
There was
She-
a woman who came
Oh,
and
what's her
Yeah, I
company
work-
called?
What's that?
What's the company called?
It's Burton
Yeah,
Foundation?
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
On
That's
Monday,
it.
I like my husband out.
Okay, great.
Very good.
That's all we have for the 12th, I believe.
Did have one item. I just wanted to bring to a kind of unrelated to planning and zoning, but important to everybody, that the National Census Day is April 1st coming up. We'll all be receiving an invitation to take the census, and I believe there's a commitment to, or a pledge to take the census on the City of Geneva website that I would encourage everybody to sign up for. Obviously, it affects our funding for cities and schools and hospitals, and just wanted to emphasize its importance. Thank you. That was it.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. That's it?
I guess I could update you that the last two approved oh, excuse me, they haven't been approved. It's Monday.
Monday,
Monday
okay.
ago. It's been a while, so yeah.
Always been a forward thinker.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, they go before the city council on Monday.
I've been driving by the Dunkin' Donuts. It's work
Oh, yeah.
stopped.
They did, our information is that they were working on like 3 of them, and they decided to put their eggs in the other baskets for right now to get those open and then come back and finish. They're not walking away from it, but they put it as a lower priority than the other 2. So, we have gotten calls and we've been following up with them. I think we had some dumpster issues and things like that, so we've been taking up with them. We do expect them to get back soon, so.
Okay. Trying to think, anything else? Yeah.
Can't think of anything else.
When, do you you working through March?
April 1st is my,
April 1st. April Fool's Day.
yeah. Census Day.
Census
That's
Day.
right.
All right.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, ma'am.